Welcome to Timesink, the weekly podcast to let you know what's worth sinking your time into. I'm your host, Sauce, and this week I am joined by Mr. Hummer.
And today I am in the danger zone.
Whoa.
Just today?
Once a year, you get it.
I'm just going to make a reference to Top Gun until Sauce actually watches it.
Maybe someday. And Brad.
My reference will be volleyball, says Top Gun. I don't know any other lines. What up, Goose? Is that a line? Is that the Top Gun line?
I was inverted.
I get it. And this week, we are joined by a special guest. You may have seen him or heard him before on the Andrew Z in the Morning podcast. Maybe you've seen his stand-up, or maybe he sold you a car in Northwest Ohio at Taylor Kia. This week, we have the one, the only, Donny P. Welcome to Timesink.
Yay.
Thank you guys so much.
We don't have an audience, so nobody can cheer for you.
I'll clap. Yes, thank you so much for
You
having me.
have
I've been wanting to come with you guys. Yes, I've had it. I mean, that means I'm immune, right? That's how it works.
So is there a rivalry here between the Kia and the Hyundai? Is that a thing here?
Sure. Oh, no, I mean, not at all. It's all the same team.
If you think that's like saying, is there a rivalry between the Patriots and the Browns, right?
That's like saying
You do not know sports. Don't make sports references.
Damn it.
Don't do it. Look, their companies have what the corporate world calls synergy. They're owned by the same people.
Well,
That was
once
really
upon
well
a time, Frank and I worked on the exact same sales floor, and we were both moderately successful at our jobs. And then he left, and it damaged me emotionally for a very long time, to where I had to soul search and this is my job. I really have to actually work, even though Frank's not here anymore. I have to support my family. And then he came back to the company, and now he's very, very successful. So.
And now I'm doing my reparations by having Donnie on to make up.
Yes, he's still trying to make it up for it.
We also don't talk about being moderates on this podcast. We're strictly pretty left-wing, according to Sauce.
Yes.
We're also a relationship podcast.
Yep, we do that too. We dip our toes in every end of the pool.
Dude, I'm dipping. I'll dip all kinds of stuff in the pool, brother.
Great. Thanks for joining us this week, Donnie. We look forward to your review. Anything else you might have to add to our pointless conversations. So we're just gonna jump right in. Donnie, I know you've been wanting to review this movie for a while. Do you want to? Oh wait, I forgot to mention this week we're gonna talk about the Great British Baking Show, Eurovision, Judas and the Black Messiah, and Superman and the Red Sun. So stick around. We got a great episode. So Donnie,
Awesome.
I know you want to dive right in, so I'm gonna let you have it.
Okay, so the name of the movie is Eurovision: The Story of Fire Saga. It's Will Ferrell's Netflix, what would you call it, vehicle. It's been out for about a year, but I'm telling you, most people have been passing it up. A lot of people I talk to, they have not watched it yet, and when I say talk to, I'm on a campaign to get people to watch this movie, because I have to tell you something. Yes, I'll give you my rating. It's a number 5. What I've been trying to tell you and wanting to tell you is it has slowly creeped up to my number 1 spot in all-time favorite movies.
Oh my God!
Number 1.
Wow!
I know. I thought about this for a long time, but it's hilarious. It's got great feelings. It's got a bunch of great music, and I'm telling you guys, it's a hidden gem. It's a hidden gem. It's one of those movies where you really got to watch it all the way through. I know we talked a little bit briefly before. You said Frank said that he couldn't make it through, and I totally get it because I was ready to turn it off. My wife and I, we passed by it on Netflix at least 5 times, and she's like, no. I was like, should we try this? No. Finally, we said, hey, because it looks. If you haven't seen it, I'll tell you guys, it's basically. There is an actual contest called Eurovision Song Contest. It's kind of like The Voice or America's Got Talent or American Idol, except it's not the singer and it's one song. Everyone submits one song, and that's the whole tournament, and it's all different countries, and it's Europe, of course, Eurovision, and then a bunch of other countries. So when you look at the picture on Netflix, it looks terrible. Will Ferrell's dressed like a Viking. Rachel McAdams is dressed like some kind of princess, and so let me just how it went down is I said let's give it 10 minutes. If we hate it, we'll turn it off. Okay, and I'm not gonna lie, I was ready to turn it off in 5 minutes.
Yep.
And Ashley, yeah, I was ready. I'm like, I don't get anything from this. Ashley really liked the way it looked because a lot of it is shot in Iceland. So Will Ferrell's character, Lars, he's Icelandic. And so it's beautiful. It's a beautiful movie. And she's like, well, hold on. Let's give it a little bit more time. I really like the setting. I really like this town that they're in. It's called Husavik. But so
fun fact.
So eventually the songs start coming. And I don't want to give too much away if you haven't seen it, but the real star of the movie is Rachel McAdams. She's just her portrayal of this. Her character's name is Sigrid, and she's like kind of a childhood friend of Lars, Will Ferrell's character, and basically they go on this journey through this contest, and you gotta watch it to the end. I will tell you, I still tear up every time I watch this movie, and I feel so weird because I know that you're not crazy about it, and I know that up until this moment you respected my opinion on things that had to do with movies. So it's like, but I just can't hide. I should have worn my shirt. I actually have a Fire Saga T-shirt.
Oh my god!
Online.
That's real fandom right there.
I'm all the way. I am all the way, man. So
is it like the Zoolander effect where you watch it the first time, you're kind of like, but then you watch it like the second time, you're like, oh, this is really good, and the third time, you're like, holy heck, I love this movie, and by the fourth time, you're just like, this is it for me.
I will be honest with you. The last 5 minutes, I was up until the very last 6 minutes. I was still I was enjoying it, but I was just watching it to finish it, and then boom, the last 6 minutes, and I just sat there. And the credits rolled, and there's tears. My wife's asleep. I'm like, what just happened? Like, did I just fall in love? Like, what? But this has always been my true test of something that I really love, or like a really good movie. Like, if I can watch it again right when it ends, then it's a good movie. And I didn't watch the whole thing, but right after it ended, the first time I watched it, boom, I restarted it. Watched it for half hour, then went to sleep. But
everyone's got a movie like that just hits them in a way that no one else will ever get. Like, definitely, I just imagine Donnie. I just imagine Donnie sitting there, every now and then, writing a list of his top 5 favorite movies, and now he has to painstakingly think of which one to take off to add this movie. And he tears in his eyes as he scratches off Top Gun or something.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask you. What did it replace? What was your favorite movie?
When you say your favorite movie, there's a list of 5 to 10, really, that you could put up there. But if I just had to start rambling off the top of my head, there's Rocky, there's Man on Fire with Denzel Washington. Sure. That was the first movie I ever watched back to back twice in a row.
Very different.
Very different.
From Eurovision.
I have a very diverse palette. All right. Well, I mean, if we're gonna go, because it's an emotional comedy. That's how I'm gonna put it. I mean, another favorite comedy of mine that a lot of people like, but I don't know if they rank it as high as me, is 22 Jump Street. I think is one of the best all-time buddy.
22 over 21?
Yeah, I love it.
Whoa, a sequel. That's so crazy. You know what I really like? The second time they did all those jokes.
Because this time I got him, and I was ready.
But isn't Will Ferrell just being that same character he's done 1,000 times in this movie?
Yeah, it's a little deeper than the normal Will Ferrell, but yeah. So there is a lot. I'm not I'm not like a Will Ferrell lover or hater, but there's definitely like a group of people out there like I hate Will Ferrell movies in general. So it might not win you over, but I do got to tell you that last scene and the last song, it's a good one. It's a good one.
So
I want to watch it with you so I could just scare you.
Just watch my reactions the whole time.
Yeah, like you should be
just
laughing.
stand there and watch him instead of watch the movie.
Why aren't you laughing?
Did you like that part? Did you like it? Isn't that song hilarious? I don't know if a lot of people do, but I vaguely, like, pretty vividly remember like a character Will Ferrell did on SNL that I thought this character was based off of. Now that I know his name was different, maybe it's not. But Will Ferrell did this Icelandic character with Maya Rudolph and Fred Armisen, where all of their names were Nunni, but nobody could pronounce. Every time somebody would pronounce one of their names, they would say, no, Nunni. He is not Nunni. I am Nunni. And that was one of the jokes. And then they always sat on different chairs, like different, like one time they had a chair made of ice. One time it was a barbershop chair, and like they put the person all the way off screen. They lifted it that high. And Chris Parnell would always come in and like feed Will Ferrell something really awkward. And there was one episode where Will Ferrell was like, I want to be a famous rock singer. And he's like, I'm doing my song now. I'm doing my dance now. I'm playing the stadium now.
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely a lot of that. I mean, that's pretty much the character. So after hearing you say that, I think he already had like that character.
Yeah.
But in watching some interviews with him, because when I get obsessed with something, I watch YouTube videos.
You dive deep.
I went deep. I went so deep, so the actual contest, the Eurovision Song Contest, has been going on for 50, 60 years.
Yeah.
So in the actual movie Eurovision Song Contest, Story of Fire Saga, there's at least a dozen to 24 cameos from actual contestants. And some of them are contestants in the show. Some of them are singing at this party. One guy's singing in the street. The story of where the movie comes from, so like I said, I think he already had that character. But his wife, I think, is like Swedish or something like that, and he was in Europe, and her family was watching Eurovision Song Contest, and he's like, "This is amazing. How have we not ever done anything or known about this?" And that's kind of where the ball started.
It's ridiculous. I suggest everyone at some point in their life go watch actual Eurovision contests. I remember, I want to say it was in like 2015 or 2016, and this really big like Israeli woman went viral because of some weird like cat dance move she did in her song or something. And it's ridiculous. Like I thought The Masked Singer was kind of based on Eurovision the first time I heard them pitch The Masked Singer. I was like, is that like an American Eurovision?
Yeah. Well, and another reason I think it hit me so hard last year is I watched it right before the actual Eurovision for 2020 was supposed to happen. So I'm all excited. I'm like, I can't wait to watch the real thing. And then, boom, COVID-19 was actually canceled for 2020. So that's the only actual Eurovision that we got as a world. Last year was Will Ferrell's movie.
Well, he basically won 2020's Eurovision then, I would say.
Yes, I would say. I'm not going to tell you who wins at the end, though. Dude, I got to watch it with you guys.
He's like queuing it up.
Hold on.
He's queuing it up right now.
You're convincing me to give it. You're convincing me to give it a rewatch.
You got to make it to the end. You got to make it to the end.
Yeah,
I made it to the end the first time because I remember thinking it wasn't like a terrible movie. It just wasn't, it didn't hit me quite the same way where I'm ready to proclaim, you know what, this is my new Zoolander, favorite movie of all time.
Is Zoolander your favorite movie of all time?
It is up there. I've probably watched that movie close to 150 times.
I think that's one of those movies I've quoted so much. I don't think I could ever really sit down and watch it.
Yeah, because you can quote the whole thing all the way through. My wife gets so annoyed, and she's like, I'm done. I'm not watching this with you.
Like, people can just say random things, and I can, reference it to Zoolander.
Orange mocha frappuccino.
Like the line, the piano key necktie, I invented it, just constantly pops in my head. Like anytime it's like what are you? Who are you? What have you done? I'm like, the piano key necktie. I invented it. Or like every time I turn left, I think that's something Derek Zoolander.
You're an ambi-turner.
Yeah, you got something on him. He's an ambi-turner. Dara leaked my balls.
My problem was like I never finished it the first time because I have Will Ferrell fatigue. I used to love Will Ferrell big time. Like Step Brothers was the apex to me for Will Ferrell because after that I haven't really liked anything. Maybe the other guys that's come out. So I couldn't really. I just point out the fact I haven't used my microphone this whole time. Is that? I was wondering. Is that the weird? Sound... Jesus. Like, can I just say yeah? Just go ahead and redo hear me? Is this better now? Yeah, let's start over. Yeah. Anyway, so you guys ever seen Eurovision Song Contest? It's this movie with Will Ferrell, and it's not about the voice; it's about the song. I was just so excited to talk to you guys. Yeah. Now it feels weird. Now it feels like weird right here. Yeah, you're trapped in the space that your microphone allows you to be in. I had so much freedom before. Well, that was Donny P's first and last appearance on Timesink. Yeah, I'm not used to this whole podcast thing.
Until Eurovision 2 is released.
Yeah. Right. Oh, yes. Oh, man. I don't even know if I could watch a sequel. That's a sequel that there's no way it's going to measure up. There's just no way. It's like
Zoolander 2 was
hot garbage.
I never watched it. Garbage. I refuse to watch it.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
It's bad. I can't do it.
Yeah. You know, Magnum's already been released, man. Okay. Blue Steel. Yes. It's classic. Magnum's already been released.
Yeah.
Do you get Donnie? Do you get the opportunity to talk about movies on your podcast a lot, or?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what's going on with us. I definitely gave a big pitch last year for everyone to watch it, and nobody did. So it's my life's like kind of goal for the last year. My sister and I are really close, and Frank, I don't think you've ever met her, but I've always like shared a lot of her Star Wars obsession with you. She's like into a lot of really cool pop culture stuff because we're 80s kids, and we were down there for like a week, and I was like, we got to watch this movie before I leave. We got to watch it together. And I'm telling you, there was so much resistance because it's just not in. I mean, it's like this was like December, so Cobra Kai was like the world, which I was definitely in on that. Yeah. So we literally watched the same episodes of Cobra Kai 6 times. I'm like, you guys, we got to take a break and watch this movie. I'm telling you, you're gonna love it. And they liked it. So the first time they watched it, but as soon as we watched it on like the last day, so we go out of town and they watched it the next day, and then they went to some friend's house and made their friends watch it. They're down there spreading the
they're super
the Eurovision virus. Yes, yeah, it is Florida. So.
Yep. Damn, I'm gonna have to give this movie another shot.
Do you want me to come over and watch it with you?
Yeah, come over as soon as we're done recording at about midnight.
We'll be awkward when I start to tear up, like, and you're like, "What are you doing?"
It'll only be awkward until you look over and you see him tearing up too.
Only
they know have a bro moment.
He looks over and I'm tearing up, but I'm not watching the movie. I'm just staring at him.
and Amanda looks over and goes, "God, guys, get a room."
Yes,
she's used to it.
Then they do get a room
again,
and then we watch it again.
And they watch it again on pay-per-view.
Awesome. Well, that's what Donnie thinks about Eurovision. 5 out of 5.
Yeah. So, 5 out of 5. Thank you for letting me do that.
Yeah, of course.
Spread it around.
I know you. We're all talking about stuff we're obsessed with right now, and I know you're big into cooking and baking and all that fun stuff. So tell us about the Great British Baking Show.
You want something just to pass time, to just do nothing, just to waste time while you're waiting to go somewhere. You put on the Great British Baking Show because it doesn't matter when you start it. It doesn't matter if you end it. It doesn't matter if you miss one of the things they make. It's just a competition where a bunch of like normal British people, they're not even like professional bakers. go and they just compete for nothing. They compete for pride to be the next great British baker, where you don't get your own restaurant, you don't get your own TV deal. There's no book deal involved.
The British, am I right?
Yeah, you just get the cred, which
You just get
Which
to
is
be
like
on it, and
street
Paul
cred.
Hollywood. Paul Hollywood
You get
tries your dish.
you get the Quan. That's what they called it. What was that movie? The football movie with Tom Cruise and
Jerry
Cuba
Mcguire.
Gooding Jr. Jerry Maguire. Yeah, he doesn't
Show
want
me
the
the
money.
money.
He doesn't want the contract. He wants the Quan. It's the
I-
love.
I thought you were going to go for unnecessary roughness because you said you were an 80s kid.
Yes.
The worst football movie.
The original one
Frank's
with like
laughing and he's
Burt
never
Reynolds.
seen it. No, unnecessary roughness with the Quantum Leap guy, Scott Bakula.
Oh my God! Yeah.
He's like,
He's like a
40.
60-year-old
Yeah,
college
he's like
guy. Yeah.
43, and they ask him to come back to college to play college football. It's the worst movie.
I did
Yeah.
know that.
And
Just throw that
Kathy
out there.
Ireland is like the kicker or something.
Yes.
Sinbad's
Yep.
in that movie. I think.
Sinbad is like the big time running back. Or something stupid. That movie's so bad. Hard 1 out of 5 unnecessary roughness.
Yes.
So we were talking about baking, right?
Well, because we're the cred. It's all about the cred on this show.
It's hard to follow that. I mean, that's good. I think we should start talking about Jerry Maguire now. Go deep dive Jerry Maguire. So, but in this show, what's also kind of cool about it is, one, they don't give you any of the recipes. It's not a show where they're trying to like show you how to make it. You're just kind of watching them mess up in their own way. But Paul Hollywood is definitely a much nicer Simon Cowell. He's not telling everybody you're just shit. This is the worst baking I've ever seen in my life. Your goal basically is to get a handshake from Paul Hollywood. If you get a handshake from Paul Hollywood, you win the competition. But they'll start with something that's like normal. They just call it like this is you're just gonna make cookies right now, or you're gonna make little I don't know, pastries. Next thing they call it a technical challenge, where they're gonna like mix in different types of pastries into one dish, or they're gonna have specific ingredients that they want to see, or a certain amount of layers in a cake. And every single time we watch it, my wife, I say, my wife's a baker, and I say, Julia, you should make that. You should try to make that, and she goes, no.
Yes.
Oh,
I definitely
Where
think
can you?
Oh, go ahead.
No, is it where's it at? Like, where can you find the show?
So right now it's on Netflix, and there's a great backlog. I want to say there's 8 seasons.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
wow.
can
I
watch
definitely want to check it out.
You can watch a good deal of it on Netflix. I don't know if they have up-to-date episodes, but
They do. They do
should
have
be
the most recent
mentioned that
winner.
the hosts are all pretty big names over in the UK.
Yeah.
Paul Hollywood, Mary Berry, who Mary Berry is like when she's judging your baking, it's like your grandma telling you whether or not you made good cookies. Like
Aw, I want
It
that.
tastes really good. It's slightly undercooked, but it tastes
she might
amazing.
critique you and tell you, but it's like definitely like little old grandma being like
Yeah.
telling you how good or bad your baking is.
It's got.
And it's
She
adorable.
might insult you, but it's got like a Werther's Originals aftertaste on it when she gives you the critique.
She gives you a toffee out of her pocket and says, "Good try."
Well,
Or
the
pulls
reason
out
I was
her own
asking,
cookies.
because I want to check it out, because I don't know if you guys remember when Chopped was big. Did you guys ever really get into Chopped? Because we were hooked on Chopped for a while, but then after a while, I think a lot of the chefs had seen so many of the episodes, they just started, I don't know, I'm not if they did it on purpose, but just started making the same things. Like if you saw like one ingredient, like, oh, he's making the bread pudding, and it's just like, oh, another bread pudding, come on. But I'm so excited to try like a new, like a cooking challenge show, because I mean we definitely got tired of that one.
Might I suggest a different option? Because the the Great British Baking Show is enjoyable, but for me, I much more enjoy Nailed It. Have you guys seen Nailed It before?
No.
I've seen it on there. I've never really really watched it.
So I like nailed it better because well, one, the host is Trudy Judy. If you get anybody watches Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which is an amazing sitcom, she's that's you'll get that reference. But I can't think of anything else that this girl is in. I think maybe The Good Place. But the premise, it's a baking show, just like every other baking show. But the premise is they're not good at it. So literally, like it could be any of us. And they give them like the most complicated, like beautiful, like artistic. Here's a cake, now make it, and everything turns out like shit. Nobody is good at any of it, and it's way more enjoyable to watch because that's exactly what would happen if like you went on the show.
The chef inside me is hating you for that though, because I'm like, I actually want to see every once in a while when one of these things actually do turn out right. Oh, that's how it's supposed to look.
Well, Frank just invests in chaos and failure like every other American.
Yeah, exactly.
The Great British Baking Show is very low key, like pretty low energy. So like if you're looking to be like overly entertained by high paced cooking, it's not going to happen.
The hosts definitely play a larger part in this than the actual chefs do in terms of the entertainment value. You show them going around talking to them while they're cooking their recipes, and they're asking, "What are you putting in it?" And they're casually just talking about the ingredients and what their plan is for the dish or the pastry that they're going to make. But you never see them get into the technicals of what they're doing, how to do it, or any kind of like, this is how long you should be beating the batter. You'll just hear Paul Houston critique them when they don't do that long enough when he's actually tasting it. I like it because, like Brad just said, it's super low key. It is a show you can have on in the background. It is something that you do not have to pay attention to. You can turn it off whenever, pick up the episode, or you can even miss an episode. I'll come back in, and all of a sudden, 2 contestants will be gone, and I'll be, oh, that sucks. What happened to them? My wife gives me the 10-second update, and I'm on with my life, and I'm watching the rest of the current episode.
You're back in the driver's seat.
It's comfort food. It sounds like.
The celebrity episodes, I will say, are usually very entertaining.
Yeah, those are really good.
Because they're celebrities. They're entertaining people when they're on camera. Like, I remember an episode that one of my favorite British comedians, James Acaster, did. And he was, like, absolute trash at 90% of everything he tried to do. But it was so entertaining to watch because he is just an entertaining individual to put on camera. So, like, I recommend definitely looking into the celebrity episodes. They're super fun.
But actually, now I would want to see an American version instead of Dancing with the Stars, Baking with the Stars. That sounds like a good show. Let's produce it.
The With the Stars TV show that they do in the UK that I definitely think they need to bring to the US. There's 2. One, they do a figure skating Dancing with the Stars in the UK. And 2, they do a diving one where it's celebrities who have never like jumped off a diving board have to go to a diving competition. There was one that they put us. I didn't know who it was. It was some chubby girl stand-up who was literally afraid of heights, afraid of swimming, and she was on this contest. They had to train her how to dive, and it was so entertaining. They're just like loosely, like they put, the pool rafts. They like loaded her onto pool rafts on the diving board and like pulled them out from underneath her so she couldn't dive. It was so ridiculous. I would watch.
Dude, that sounds amazing.
I would watch the hell out of that in the U.S.
Daisy Ridley is scheduled to be on the next celebrity, the Great British Baking Show.
But she's part of the worst Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah, and I think her next movie is going to flop real hard.
Yeah, with the Tom Holland.
Yeah, that looks like it's going to flop real bad.
Or is it like a bank robber?
No, that movie already is flopping right now. But I still have to go see it because I got to be an extra in it, and I want to see if I made the cut.
No, the new Daisy Ridley.
When
Tom
we
Holland
don't see you, we're just going to be like, nope.
Just get out
to make the cut.
Walk out of the theater.
Hold on. Wait, what? How are you an extra? Did you zoom into the set? Like, what did I miss?
Yeah,
how are you an extra?
He's on a Zoom conference call with Tom Holland.
Yeah.
his mic's on mute accidentally, and they're like telling his character he's not working, and he's just like, I don't know.
I don't know.
Hey, Tom, tell me the ending. Tell me what happens. Just tell me the ending.
He's
I know
just
you know.
constantly asking
you
for
know.
Spider-Man spoilers.
Yeah, that's what I want. What's Robert Downey Jr. like in person?
He's
no,
nice.
Oh, all right. See you later. No, they filmed it in Cleveland, so I got to go be they cast extras for stuff in Cleveland all the time. So if you want to be an extra in a movie, look on there's Facebook groups for it, and they're doing a ton of stuff for Spider-Man 3 right now, but it's all in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Man, that'd be sweet.
Well, that's awesome. Weren't you in like one of the Avengers movies or something?
I can see my leg in the movie, but I got to be there. That was cool.
Now, how did you identify your
Captain
leg?
America and didn't get in because I'm a nerdy white guy. I don't pop on camera, as you can see.
Can I have your legs autograph?
Yes.
How did you identify your leg in the motion picture?
The only brown one.
Did you enhance it? Did you look at the hair pattern? Like what was
it was the muscle
giveaway?
Definition.
Yeah.
I have
calf definition.
much like Donnie, also oddly enough, have very defined calves.
Did you have your fancy socks on?
It's all from standing in those car lots for hours. That's what it is.
Yes.
All right, great. So moving on so we don't run out of time here. I wanted to talk about this movie.
Well, we got to give it a rating. We got to
my bad.
A number
I'm sorry.
Come on.
We're talking about so many things this week.
Well, because we're not talking about the quality of it. It's not something you need to go out and watch right away, but I definitely think it's a good show just to put on in the background, have on every once in a while. I give it a solid, this one's tough because I do love it. It's like you hate giving something that you love not a 5. So I have to give it a solid, I'd say it's 2. Don't go out and you can't go out and just
expecting that.
You can't go out and just say you got to go put this on. You have to go watch this. You have to clear something off your schedule to watch it. This is when you don't have anything to watch.
Yeah,
all of your current shows are caught up, so you're not waiting on the next Wandavision. You're not waiting on that. So put on this. Put on this.
You said my trigger word. Wandavision.
Dude.
We're not talking about it until it's finished. We're not talking about it until it's finished. Then we're going to spoil the
You've been on Reddit, haven't you? You've been on Reddit, haven't you?
Listen, one of the best parts about Marvel right now is not even just watching Marvel stuff, but it's following everything Marvel is doing in the background. There's so much cool leaks and news that goes on, and like trying to figure all out what they're trying to plan out is like just as fun as trying to figure out what's happening in a movie while you're watching it. Like seeing that Melissa McCarthy was cast as fake Hela, and you're like, whoa, they're doing another version of Thor Ragnarok, but as a fake movie again. They're bringing that trope back.
But I'm not happy that they spoiled that because I would have loved to be surprised by that.
Like how you were with Matt Damon. I get it, but then don't go on the internet, bro.
You just spoiled it for me.
You already knew.
You're technically on the internet right now.
Welcome.
I'm not gonna say anything specific that I think is gonna happen, but just knowing a little bit of Wanda's backstory, I think something's gonna happen, and a lot of the fans that are new to the whole MCU because of this show aren't going to be too happy about it, I feel like the writers are like, man, we should have gave ourselves some room if we didn't know it was going to be this big. We should have gave ourselves some room to maybe
be honest,
make another season.
If you're starting with WandaVision, like, who are you?
Dude, there's no idea they had this thing is just a runaway hit. No, it's just unbelievable.
Infinity War and Endgame are like the 2 biggest grossing movies in the movie industry history. Like everybody loves this, and they're watching them all.
Well, I had somebody ask me the other day who just was like holding off on WandaVision because they wanted to binge it. They were like, "When did those 2 even get together?" And I was like. Did you even watch the movies? Who are you?
There are people like that because let me add this real quick because there are people like that because I have an Infinity Gauntlet in my office, like accurate Thanos size, and people will be like,
"You have both gauntlets, okay? You have the Infinity Gauntlet in your office. and Tony Stark.
My Tony Stark one's behind me.
Oh,
I brought
it back
that
home.
one
Okay.
But you're right. I do have both. But they'll be like, "Oh, what is that? What's that from?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm a big Marvel nerd. It's from the Avengers movies." And they're like, "Oh, which one?" And I'm like, "Well, have you seen them?" Like, "Yeah, I've seen them all." And I'm like, "But I don't recognize that thing. What's it from?" And I'm like,
At least they're not like, "Hey man, did you get that on the QVC shopping network?"
No, but
Yeah.
I did get my Pac-Man machine that's in my office from QVC Shopping Network.
So all bases covered then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. We lost Hummer. But no, like you said, which one was which one of the Avengers is the highest grossing movie of all time?
Endgame.
Or are they both? Endgame.
It's
So
Endgame.
like as many millions and millions of people that saw Endgame, there's still a lot of people that haven't, including my wife. And we've talked about it. She wanted to watch it like last year, and I was like, well, you can't watch it unless you at least watch Infinity War. So anyway, Wandavision comes along, and just like Eurovision, we passed by it a few times, and I'm like, we got to give this show a chance. It looks really cool, really crazy. So finally we watch it. She's more obsessed than I am. So of course we went back. We haven't gotten through all of them, but we went back and watched Age of Ultron, and we're like, I think we got all the way through Infinity War as well. So now she just has to see Endgame. But yeah, so she's brand new to the last three Avengers movies.
That's awesome.
Age of Ultron is very important to WandaVision, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, it's essential because no spoilers, but it's brought up in the show.
I actually, one of my friends is like asked me, because he doesn't have a lot of time. He's a physician, so his like schedule's crazy, and he's like, I've never watched all the Marvel movies. I want to watch some of them, but like, which ones do I watch? And I'm like hardcore, like pitching the case why he just needs to watch all of them. But he's like, I just want to go on a mini marathon. Like, which ones? And I'm like, all of them, damn it.
Every last one. Stop saving lives and watch Marvel movies.
Exactly. Brad gets it.
Yes. I need to take 3 weeks of vacation to watch all of the Marvel movies because there's so many.
Let's be honest. You can ignore everybody in your life and get it done in 3 days. I'm just saying.
No way. There's 24 or 25 movies.
4 days. Yeah. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You need to sleep, eat, and change your kids' diapers, okay? Not all of us have to do that.
That's the big 4.
Or you could just own both Infinity Gauntlets like Frankens, snap your fingers or twist your arm a certain way.
Just watch 3 movies at the same time. 3 screens, 3 movies.
Dude, you would if you had robot ears.
All right, let me completely, totally, tonally, and just completely derail our conversation so I can do my review, because it is 100% like the opposite direction on what we're talking about. Because I finally got to watch Judas and the Black Messiah. And that's why I'm glad Donnie's here, so we can get a white man's take on this movie. But
I don't even know what it is. But Jesus is black. If that's has anything to do with it, then yes.
Perfect.
Very little.
So Judas and the Black Messiah is based off a true story about Fred Hampton and being a Black Panther in the 60s, and how he was eventually set up and assassinated by the government for being a outspoken Black man in civil rights. And they wanted to prevent. Yeah, I know, right? I told you I was shifting gears hard.
That is some deep stuff.
They wanted to prevent a quote unquote Black Messiah from, radicalizing, people of color at the time. But the movie's not about him, or it is about him, but it's not about his point of view. It's about the point of view of the informant that infiltrated the Black Panthers and is feeding the government information and spying on him, but also like his struggle and like questioning, like, is what he is doing right? Should he be doing this? It is a really good movie. It's based off the true story. From what I read, it's pretty accurate, but they do get pretty liberal with the informant because there's not as much info on him because obviously it wasn't like a famous outspoken civil rights leader. But it's very good. It's on HBO right now. It's one of those, it got released in theaters right now, and it also came out to HBO for a limited window, just like Tom and Jerry, which is not the same kind of movie.
I'm going to butcher the lead actor's last name, Daniel Kaluuya, something like that.
Kaluuya, I think.
Kaluuya. He did just win the Golden Globe for Best Actor.
Yes.
Well deserved. The thing I was reading most about this movie was that they did such a good job of portraying members of the Black Panther Society or Black Panther. Yep, we're just gonna skate right over that.
Ryan Coogler did produce it,
yeah,
so that was relevant.
Thanks for saving me on that. But they talk about the portrayal of the viewpoints of the people within the group and how well it was portrayed, and how much it sheds a lot of propaganda against their party. That was from the time, and how a lot of people see that group, and this is really contrary to
because
lot
they're
of that.
awesome.
So it's getting a lot of praise for how well the viewpoints of people in the group actually acted, thought, and like things they did. So there's a lot, like, this is one of those movies that a lot of people should see, just because of how. I mean, there was an entire generation that was fed propaganda about how terrible and how basically terrorist this group was, when that's just so not the case. So like films like these from viewpoints of people like Ryan Coogler and the people who wrote this movie are really important for a lot of us to see, because we were not educated in our school systems of how that group really acted and how they really were. We're fed the propaganda too. So this stuff's really important in my opinion. And the Golden Globes are well deserved. Incredibly well deserved.
That was
awesome.
Really, really well said.
But I ruined it with the Black Panther comment to start.
You did. So everything you said is irrelevant.
What it was Black Panther. That was the name of the party, right?
And hence the character. Also, it originated in the 60s as well. You know, that's the part of the actual comic book character's origin. But yeah, it is a, I don't know why I've been watching a lot of like autobiographical, like historical, like based on true event movies lately, but sometimes because they're awesome. But you know, sometimes you need to laugh and get your Eurovision in there, but you know, sometimes you need to be educated, because it definitely I learned a lot about these historical events, kind of historical events.
I mean, definitely from a Hollywood produced vantage point, but like still, they're not, now they're being written and produced by, you know, people who are way more invested. So there's a different light and viewpoint shed on it than if this movie were to be made even 5 to 10 years ago. You know, because of the different culture movement.
20 years ago would have been made by Harvey Weinstein and directed by Quentin Tarantino or something. Ron Howard, Steven Spielberg. Like, now we get black writers,
voices,
black directors, you know, and it's important. Especially, it's still relevant now because people are still fighting for their civil rights now.
100%.
But you have to. It's like going to make you uncomfortable because of like the shit that black people have had to face and kind of still are facing is, you know, it's terrible. And sorry, Donnie, I invited you on the episode. I was reviewing. This is not the lighthearted fun episode.
No, I
just for your segment.
No, I'm very interested in this. You know, I face my privilege every single day and think about it. And I talk to my friends about how it's hard for someone like me to open up about it because I'm afraid of how what I would say will sound. So things like this just help me stay informed and get even more informed. Like you said, Brad, we didn't really know. You know, and I grew up in a pretty, I would say, diverse family. So there was, like, we watched some, there was the Black Panther movie when I was a kid that was I never really like paid that much attention to it, but that's like you said, this is the history that we don't know. And it sounds like an amazing movie. But when I said Jesus is Black, I thought you were gonna say Jesus is Black because when my mother-in-law, I never met my mother, when she passed away, like one of the last things, like in the last week of her life, she told Ashley that Jesus was black. So in order to support her, they had T-shirts that said Jesus was black. So it's a family saying for Ashley. So shout out to that. But Judas and the
It should not
Black
be left.
Messiah. Yeah. No, it's true story. It's true story.
Oh man, I was not expect that. I was not expecting that.
You
You
never
shoved it right back in your face.
right.
You did.
But no.
Yeah, all the acting is amazing, especially what's his name? Jesse Plemons, who plays Todd in Breaking Bad, and he is what else is he in? He's in that one episode of Black Mirror as like the creepy Captain Kirk. He's like nailed every like racist, like bad, like white man character, like creepy, unsettling, but like totally like unfazed by his actions type of like evil character. Like having him be the FBI agent working with the Lakeith Stanfield's William O'Neill. Oh my god, the end of the movie, at the end of the movie they cut to real world footage, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but like at the very, very end of the movie, like somebody says something and my jaw is just hit the floor. Like I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe he just said that. And then you get an immediate resolve to what he said. That's super vague, but you need to see the movie. Unless
sounds amazing.
Unless, you're not into, if you're not into like historical movies, I guess it's not a historical movie, but this type of movie. But yeah, absolutely, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. It is.
It's
so
probably
good.
a favorite to win some Academy Awards as well, for sure. I fully expect. Even though if you tried to watch this year's Golden Globes, it was so uncomfortable watching Zoom Golden Globe. Like Tina Fey was in one city, Amy Poehler was in another. I think when somebody was trying to accept their award, they were on mute the whole time. I think it was John Boyega.
Yeah.
I think it was John Boyega.
Yes.
And like it was just such a cringy award show. It totally didn't need to be done, but like TV
It didn't need to be
still
done.
needs-
It didn't need to be done zoomed, for crying out loud. Like just
Well, I mean,
you're a host. Stand on one side of the stage. Have some people there with their like pods of their family. Like we have weddings, for crying out loud, and we're able to do that. Like just have everybody there.
well, in New
If
York
had it in
now,
Texas.
in New York now, if you attend a wedding, you're now only allowed to dance with your immediate family. You have to dance in a pod of up to 12 people. And if you have a live band and there's a woodwind instrument, they have to be 12 feet away from everyone else.
Look, the Golden Globes are basically
What
the
is
wedding.
that?
They're basically the wedding without the reception. Like you don't have to have the party
woodwind.
afterwards. Okay, you have everybody, they sit in their pods or whatever. You have, you're Tina Fey, you sit with Tina Fey and her family, or you're Tom Cruise, you
Well,
sit
they were
with all the
hosting.
Scientologist, and then that's it, right? You just move on. And instead, you have these weird Zoom.
They should have just announced the awards, let everybody do the thank you speeches on Twitter, and that was it. But they have to get views because they're a TV network. But the hosts, they got bashed the Hollywood Foreign Press for like every time they had a chance to talk. They just bashed them for being racists. So like it was ridiculous.
Not wrong.
They're not wrong. Even though a fair amount of black individuals won awards this year, they're still not wrong. That it's like outside looking in, it is a decently racist organization. Like this
Historically.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
Well, Brad, did you want to talk about your pick of the week?
Yeah, I got recommended by so we can go back to comic book movies with mine. We'll get off the racial diversity. and go back into comic book movies. I have a friend and coworker who is very DC over Marvel kind of guy. So we
Don't
argue a
fire
lot.
them.
So we argue a lot. But there's one thing he's right about, in that DC animation is top notch. They produce really good content.
Yeah.
And he recommended a movie to me that came out in 2020 based around my absolute least favorite superhero, Superman. I despise Superman. I think he's like the worst created superhero of all time.
He's
Like he's Superman. Like fuck Superman, bro. Like
Literally.
Oh yeah, he can do that too.
Every
he does that
Justice
too.
League, like anytime they have to fight someone, the premise has to be Superman
Let's
is
get Superman
somehow
out of here.
incapacitated for the story to be
Yeah.
interesting.
So
Yeah.
This one is called Superman Red Sun. It's kind of very much in the ilk of the what ifs that we're going to get from Marvel coming up, where what if Superman grew up in Soviet Russia rather than America and Kansas? So it starts off.
We would have
Superman
nuked them really fast. That's what would have happened.
Yes.
well, it kind of explores that, and there's some really good. They explore some really good themes without taking a stance. You know, communism versus capitalism, both propaganda machines, and then it's definitely a fan service to people who know DC characters, because they're a fair amount. Like Batman's in it, Wonder Woman's in it, Green Lantern's in it, Brainiac is in it, Lex Luthor is in it. So there's a lot of characters that if you are experienced DC, you'll know, but they're all slightly different. Like Lois Lane is married to Lex Luthor, and Lex Luthor is the only American. Batman is Russian. Green Lantern is American, but I will say he was like the worst added character in this movie.
So it's like if like Superman was in Eurovision.
He did it.
He finally did it. He brought it back, and he won. Superman finally won Eurovision.
Well,
After all
that's the end of the
these
show.
years.
I was like this kind of sounds like if Russia would have developed a nuclear weapon
Yes.
first.
Well, so what happens is, you know, Superman as a young man, once he finds out his powers, instead of like hiding them or becoming his own hero, he's sold on the idea of the power of the state, not instead of the individual or the, you know, capitalism. So he gives himself up to the state, and Stalin like uses him to expand the Soviet Empire.
Comrade.
Then he finds out about the gulags.
Super comrade.
Like Lex Luthor leaks information to him about the gulags. He finds out, and he just goes and fucking murks Stalin, just straight kills him, and he takes over as the
Spoiler.
premier of the USSR and expands Russian, but under Superman. And like, there's some really poignant things that like even Stalin tells Superman, and he's trying to create a perfect world in like the communist vision. And then I don't want to spoil anything for people who do want to watch it, but you do have to kind of pay attention, because it
I'm
takes some
intrigued.
time jumps through like a 30-year span of the USSR expanding and America kind of failing as a capitalist nation, kind of like the reverse of what really happened in the Cold War. Basically, the Americans build the Iron Curtain. There are
The fall of the Statue of Liberty.
Lex Luthor eventually
Huh?
becomes president of America and kind of changes the fate of America, and it goes back. And they do a good job of not making anybody all these characters not really a villain in the end. Even Lex Luthor is not a villain in the end, because of some twists and turns that the story takes. But had an awesome introduction for Batman and a very small story arc for Batman, which still proved that Batman is the coolest character in the DC. Like, he had this very small arc, and he still was the dopest character in the movie for sure.
His role is bigger in the comic.
I'm sure it's a 3-part comic from what I remember, if I remember right.
I just read the
But-
graphic novel.
But They turned it into an hour and a half movie, and like when you're watching it, it definitely felt like it could have been longer, like maybe a 10-episode miniseries or something, because things felt rushed in the middle of the movie. But I thought it was really good. Like, and again, just showing how DC Animation through Warner Brothers does a really good job adapting their graphic novels and comic books. And it just makes you wonder why they do such a bad job with their live action movies. Like, how can you do such a good job with making adult animation, which, Marvel's animation is very much kid oriented. So it's not all that great for now. It's not all that great for like the big fan base they have. It's directed towards the younger, whereas DC has like not cared about that even a little bit, and have totally made their animated universe for adults. I mean, the Harley Quinn cartoon that I reviewed a little while ago, very adults and was good for a while. The Killing Joke, a lot of like Mark Hamill stuff. Some of that stuff's very adult themed and very good. And they pull directly from the source. It just makes you wonder why the DC films have been such a failure.
I think it's directing
again and again.
Yeah.
I think it's got to be bigger than that.
Yeah,
because they constantly have directors change, like things just change. Like they're firing Henry Cavill from Superman because he didn't want to appear as a cameo in Shazam. Like, what? They had a really great Superman, in my opinion. Maybe his movies were kind of average, but he was great. And they're firing him because he said no to a cameo in an average movie, Shazam.
Man of Steel is good. So, sorry, go ahead, Homer.
At the end of the day, I think what you're looking at is, like, especially if you're comparing the two, Marvel and DC,
you have to.
Marvel put a 10+ year plan in place for these movies. So they were willing to invest billions of dollars into those films and to make them the best that they can be. They basically bet their future on those films in the same way that they bet their future in the Star Wars films, where they, in a sense, they flopped. And so they've had to revamp that strategy. And now you're seeing all this great content come out on Disney Plus in the form of The Mandalorian. DC Comics hasn't done that. AT&T and Warner Group haven't done that. And at the same time, all that's going down, Warner Brothers is being purchased by AT&T. So there hasn't been a singular focus on developing a cohesive script. So all of a sudden you do get like films like Aquaman, and then you get Justice League, where all these characters are just like thrown together with weird stories that don't interact or intertwine with one another.
There's not like a tone. There's not like an overall tone.
There's just no consistency
and
no direction.
Marvel took 10 years and 22 movies before they finally got to their big bad that they've been holding back since the beginning. DC in their first Justice League movie already like threw out, here's Darkseid, here's the big bad, they're gonna fight him and beat him. I'm like, okay, now what?
When did we even first like find out about? Well, I won't say find out, but like, when did they first like really acknowledge that Thanos was the big bad villain?
The first Avengers.
Avengers 1.
First Avengers.
So at that point, you've had what, four or five movies before Avengers?
Three phases of movies
before the first Avengers.
I can't remember.
They did a full. They knew they were building up to Thanos, but they did a full 3 phases of movies before it was like, here's our battle with Thanos.
Yeah. And they kept teasing it too.
Yeah. And it's not like he was absent during those 3 phases. He had little blips.
And you know what? Iron Man was so good. It set the stage for all the movies. And then they got progressively like more bold with their choices to where they're like, all right, now we're gonna finally do Avengers. And Joss Whedon's first Avengers was good and everybody loved it. They finally got what they wanted. And Mark Ruffalo says, that's my secret captain. I'm always angry. And I stood up in the theater and cheered because it was amazing. And then they start getting weird with it, and they make Guardians of the Galaxy. And then they're like, well, here's what else we can do. And then they're like, you know what? We're just gonna do whatever the fuck we want now. Here's Thanos, what everybody always wanted. Now this next phase coming, they're just like with WandaVision, all bets are off. They can do whatever the hell they want.
The
WandaVision tackling the other side of the snap was even though it was very short.
Dude, so cool.
Incredible.
So cool. And behind the scenes, they are saying Eternals is going to be the best thing they've made so far.
Can't wait.
Cannot wait. And that the girl that's directing the Eternals, I think she just won a big Golden Globe herself. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure she just won a Golden Globe. Chloe something, maybe, I don't know.
Chloe
I might be
Zhao.
wrong.
Zhao.
She just won a Golden Globe for something she worked on this last year. So so that's exciting too. It means that she's getting a lot of she's getting a lot of recognition and stuff too. So a lot ramping up there. But as I started talking about DC and we got back to Marvel somehow
because it's so much better.
This is the
it's
way.
where we belong. But I mean, it's the other thing with DC is they still tease us with things that might be worth looking forward to. The Snyder Cut comes out in like less than a month, right? Couple of days. It's March 18th, right? Is that right?
I'm excited for the Snyder Cut.
So
to be honest.
we'll see how much of an improvement that does. They did full reshoots for it, so there's definitely expectations there. We know J.J. Abrams is signed on to do a reboot again of Superman, which is why Henry Cavill is gone. Although there's a rumor that Henry Cavill personally contacted Marvel Studios about joining the MCU.
That'd be amazing.
How dope would it be if they made him Hyperion, which is Marvel's answer to Superman, but kind of a bad guy? That would be absolutely amazing.
I would rather see him as Sentry, which is also another version of Superman, except he's crazy and has agoraphobia and like won't leave his house.
Yeah. Which I heard rumors for Sentry for, I don't remember what it was. He was a name thrown out for some stuff.
I think we're running out of time here. So
anyway, Superman Red Sun, 3 out of 5.
Donnie,
3 out of 5.
I want to thank you for joining us this week. That's awesome. We
Oh my
finally
God.
got you on here.
Yay!
Thank you so much for having me.
Where can people
I've been wanting
find
to come on with you guys for so long. Oh, you can find me every Monday through Thursday mornings on Facebook. We do live Andrew Z in the Morning podcast. It's anywhere you can find your podcasts. And then every weekday except for Friday, and we're closed on Sundays at Taylor Kia Toledo, helping people get newer, nicer cars all day long. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Donnie. That's all we got time for you guys this week.
Mention our podcast and get 50% off your purchase.
Yeah.
and
Mention the
Donnie
podcast.
get fired.
I get $500 off any new car.
There you go. That's amazing.
That's a deal he can make.
Make sure to check us out on timesinkpod.com. We're available on YouTube, Facebook, all your favorite social medias. Reach out to us. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you want us to review. And we will see you guys next week.